My family doesn't love my little brother because we don't give him enough money. You and your sister are both working and doing household chores. Your brother is doing absolutely nothing. No job, no chores. Yet he still is asking your parents for money. Good for them for saying no. Now he is borrowing money from his girlfriend and her parents. I sure hope they see the entitlement of your brother and don't lend him any money. They will never get it back. $200 for shoes? The pure audacity boggles my mind. Your brother needs a reality check real quick before he permanently turns into a leech. He won't have that GF for long if her parents have half a brain. I can't even wrap my head around him asking the girlfriend and her parents for money. If I were those parents, it would be a huge red flag for me. The girlfriend too. I just don't understand why they'd put up with that. Is your brother cognitively impaired? Or just a narcissistic entitled brat? Does he understand that your sister gets a paycheck, not just a donation from the universe? Sounds like your parents have been more than generous. Family therapy and some sort of meet the real world plan might be necessary. In your parents' place, I'd also have a talk with the girlfriend's parents and explain the reason he gets no more money from them. As long as people give money to him, he will not stop asking. Every family has its deadbeat. You know who yours is. Your 17-year-old entitled brother is in for a rude shock when he is legally required to adult very shortly. Money isn't free. Someone worked for the money he thinks he's entitled to. Parents need to give him a humbling experience or he can go live off the GF her parents. Then see how long that lasts. Why do people feel entitled to other people's money? I just don't understand. I would never dream of asking a boyfriend parents for money. He asked for $200 for shoes from his GF's parents when his said no? Cringe. They are going to need to make him see the value in money and working for it. If my kid was this ungrateful, they wouldn't have access to the car anymore. We bought my daughter a car, and she pays for her own gas and entertainment and has a job to do so. Wait, your brother doesn't have a job and gets confused as to why his sister gets a paycheck in the mail and he doesn't. And he's 17. Damn, here I thought nobody could match my own younger brother for sheer stupidity. But your brother somehow managed it. Out of curiosity, do your parents also let him get away with never doing chores and constantly buy him new stuff while you and your sister have to pay for everything yourselves? His car that only takes premium gas and has 16 mpg. Your brother needs an attitude adjustment. For sure, if he isn't even making an effort to bring in any money for himself. Having said that, why is an unemployed 17-year-old driving a car that only takes premium gas and gets dreadful mileage? He would be better off with a more practical car than that. Whoever decided to give him that particular car made a mistake. He is a spoiled brat and he definitely needs to be cut off from the money given to him every day. No job, no money. Lol, what a loser. Once his GF leaves, he will have nothing. Reality going to pop him in the mouth real quick. Your parents need to take the car back if it was given with the caveat that he was going to get a job. He seems to be suffering from affluenza. Your parents need to let GF's parents know what is going on and get on the same page to make sure he actually grows up. My parents had a golden child in my younger sister. For example, mother would buy her new Schwinn bicycles that gathered dust and mold in the garage because GC was driven everywhere. I rode crappy discount store bikes. When GC got married in her early 20s, our parents bought the couple a house. Meanwhile, I had put myself through uni, receiving about 10 of the total cost from my reluctant parents. Your brother is completely out to lunch. I hope your parents grow a spine real quick. It's not too late for him to learn some hard lessons. I can't imagine having the cheek to borrow money from a girl fiend's parents. I mean, what the actual fuck? I would take away the car. The car was a gift under the condition that he get a job he hasn't made the effort to get one, so he don't deserve a car. Early in my brother's two older and mine lives, our parents said if it was something we need, clothes, shoes, glasses, medical would be covered. We had to learn between a need and a want. Brand clothes, $100 shoes, contacts, car, personal TV, and cell phones looked like bricks and charged by the minute. We had to get with our own money. Sounds like he's growing up to be a scrub, lol. Boys like this grow up assuming everything is taken care of for them. I know them well. I just left one after 6 long years. Entitled little boys grow up to become men that weaponize their incompetence and drive their SOs crazy. Your parents have provided him with a car and gas money. So why would he work? They should have insisted he earn money beyond reasonable basics and the occasional treat. Especially once he was old enough to drive. This is on them. He may come around if they hold form on dad's threat. But asking his GF's parents for money? God. I'd be so embarrassed to date such a loser. Does he have a structured settlement but needs cash now? LMAO, your brother asked his girlfriend's parents for money? I'd be advising my daughter to kick this bum to the curb. Granted, he's still a minor, but he's old enough to take responsibility for his own extracurricular wants. I'd also be taking his car away until he can understand the financial responsibilities that come with the privileges of driving. Ha ha ha. He wants money to appear in the mail. That's gold. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. Think I'll eat a can of worms. Loudly crying, weary face with symbols on mouth. Edit to correct typo. Ask whoever told your brother life was fair. He feels entitled because people keep giving it to him without any expectation of effort. Bad Parenting 101. What kind of car did they buy him that only gets 16 mpg and requires premium grade fuel? I'll bet it's a car he has no business owning at his age and with his non-existent financial resources. Your parents already spoiled him rotten. They've got a lot of work to do, or he'll be sponging off of them forever. If this strategy has worked for him in the past, that explains why he uses it. Your parents need to have a sit-down conversation with your brother like now. You do not ask your parents for money just for shoes and not for an emergency. I'm sorry, but you need to talk with him now and tell him you and your sister have jobs that gives you both checks for money and that he does not have a job to be getting one at all. Is it cultural? Only son and spoiled rotten? Your father needs to talk to the GF's parents to end the giving tree. I wonder what type of a sob story he has been telling his GF and her family to get them to give him money? Perhaps your dad should have pushed quite a bit sooner on the get a job thing. I suspect brother would get a job a bit faster if dad tells him a job or his car gets sold. Is you brother as the only boy somewhat of a golden child? His entitled outlook on life isn't going to get him very far unless he plans on living with your parents forever. Your parents raised him. They gave him all the things he needed to be an entitled little asshole. Tell them to stop aiding this kid and let him learn the hard way. Only ways he will change. Is it possible your brother is using when hanging out with his girlfriend? Asking a new girlfriend's parents for that amount of dollar is not normal in a relationship, and he sounds a bit out of touch with reality. I immediately wonder how much GF dad hates your brother. Imagine a 17-year-old kid with no job dating your daughter and asks for $200 BC. His mom and dad said no. Lol. If the car is in the parent's name, take it back. If they put it in his, cut off all funds. The kid is a Class A mooch. He needs to be broken of it now, or he will forever be a dreg of society. Tough love on this kid all the way. GF family should see the obvious red flag. My oldest younger brother. I'm the oldest of several siblings. He's the next one after me. He doesn't take his bipolar medication and recently threatened to go to the police and say he was molested as a child. He wasn't, unless our father pays him his inheritance now. We don't talk much anymore, which is a shame. I used to be on his care team. What exactly does your brother think he did to earn getting money? LMAO. The parents should pressure your brother to the max. Giving him everything will not make him a more effective adult. Money comes from work. Period. That boy needs a reality check. Rich kids are so weird and unpredictable. Like half of y'all sound like you turned out well adjusted, and then there's your brother. What? Okay. First, 200 for shoes? What on earth? That's nuts. Especially for someone without a job. Both you and your sister are not only working but taking care of the house and his puppy. If I were your parents, I would have cut him off long ago. But that's their decision. You two keep doing you and ignore the baby. Cheering for you both, party popper. Time for dad to sell the car or say rent is due in the amount and your share of groceries is. If not, then time for you to move. Sorry, your brother is an entitled monkey's butt. Good on parents not giving money. Tell him nothing in life is free and a job is how you get what you need, and any extra is the wants fund. I think your parents need to take the keys to his car until he has secured a job and is assisting in household chores. Completely unacceptable behavior. Junior needs a reality check. Life is going to be a bitch in a few years when he's kicked out of the house. If your parents did the right thing and completely cut him off, reality is going to slap your bro in the face hard, and it should. Parents need to stop enabling him. It's doing him a great disservice. If they really love him, they will allow him to grow up and face consequences and learn to be a self-sufficient, responsible adult. Yes, but the thing was, it was a vastly different situation. My family gave my brother, paid all my lazy unemployed addict brother's bills and gave them a constant stream of cash to piss away to the tune of $3,000 each, but they couldn't give the crippled one living on SSI $50 for groceries as a loan. Parents are to blame. Can't they get the guy a hybrid car with extremely good MPG? Lol, I mean, that 16 MPG is just horrible. I'm guessing it's an overpriced sports car needing that premium gas. Lol. If he's not gonna work, downgrade the money he's being given. Seriously. If he has a GF who cannot travel to him and is 1 hour away, he needs to switch up vehicles to something less flashy and get a hybrid Elantra or Camry. Lol. Then dad can pay for the gas if he continues to do well in school and stays out of trouble. To have the balls to ask your GF parents to buy shoes. That is fucking crazy. If your parents don't do something about this, you can pretty much guarantee that this will be what things will look like for the rest of your life. You and your sister will move on with life and become productive members of society. Your brother will leech of one girl after another, using them up until either they get sick of him or they've given all they can. Good luck. I can't wait for when GF's parents tell her to break up with the broke child. Indeed, a $200 footwear is something you wear for life, not to spend on entitled little shits. I suspect that him and his GF may have a drug problem. My cousin used to say he was a stay-at-home son. I have 4 kids around your age. I'm assuming he is still in high school. No reason he can't get a job. Dad needs to stand firm. I'm curious about why the girlfriend's parents are so willing to give him money. That's odd. I wouldn't want my child in a relationship with someone who is already borrowing money from people. I definitely wouldn't enable it. You need to find all the stories on here to show your parents about entitled kids and where they end up. Everyone needs to stop enabling him, including the other parents. And the old cliche, I'm doing this because I do love you. Your brother asks his GF's parents for money? Does he not have any fucking pride? That's completely embarrassing, and your brother seems like a complete chud. Your parents also have enabled this behavior. It is hard for dudes. Usually that mood and attitude can be a prelude for a severe depression. Help him get a job and take little steps. Your parents sound like winners. Your brother need a job, his girlfriend can fix it. I bought a $20 pair of shoes. They lasted me 3 years. Simply put, why is his dad, or some other male role model in his life, not beating his ass? Edit or female role model. Why is nobody beating his ass? Second edit, a verbal ass beating would also do. Hopefully when they break up, the parents give him an itemized list of all the money they've lent him. And give him a timeline to pay it back. And if he doesn't pay or make payments, then they will escalate it to small claims court. That would be a kick in the ass. I don't think his relationship is gonna last long if he keeps using his girlfriend and her parents as ATMs. But I'm curious if that'll actually teach him anything. It's probably everyone's fault but his. This has not come out of nowhere. Your parents have spent the last 17 years raising a spoiled and idle little man baby around whom the world revolves. How else would he get a car that takes premium gas and only does 16 mpg with no income? They've left it quite late, but there's still time for them to teach him some decent values. They've started saying no at least. Next lesson, doing a fair share of the housework. Forcing you to work doesn't mean you learned the value of money. You're 22. Be a good older sister who has 5 years on her brother and explain to him instead of Reddit. Pretty short-sighted of your parents to buy a car that only reaches 16 mpg. Not exactly economical for a young person who will clearly be using it as a daily runaround. Yeah, he's entitled. But it's not all on him. I'm dying to know what kind of car uses only premium fuel and gets only 16 mpg. Parents should take his car too. Just saying. He is spoiled. Your parents should do more to help him adult, or he will be a dependent forever. I kinda feel sorry for him as he has no idea how to adult. How did the two women become so accomplished and he is able to sit on his butt doing nothing? Who the fuck asks their girlfriend's parents to give them money for clothes? Your brother is an entitled muppet. The brother sounds like an entitled aw. This is the most entitled brat I've ever heard of. They need to insist he get a job or no money for anything. Bad parenting, bad male role model, and godless family, then blame a kid for acting spoiled when he was spoiled his whole life. Probably love it. Haha, well, at least your parents are doing the right thing. It's okay to spoil a kid, but there has to be some effort and responsibility. Only thing I can think of is for your parents to talk with GF parents saying stop supporting our kid please. If they don't, then parents take away all support and let the GF parents decide how high. Trust me, you don't know real spoiled. Best thing you and sister can do is just do you and stay away from drama. Your brother doesn't deserve a car. Especially if he can't work to pay for gas, etc. Your parents need to explain to him that there are consequences for his behavior and follow through. If he were my son and insisted he needed new shoes or clothes, I would take him to the nearest thrift shop. My brother didn't have to do dollar hit growing up, and it shows to this very day. There are givers and takers in this world. Your brother is a taker. And an entitled one at that. Your brother is kind of a weak, broke-ass loser in training, Your brother has a very bleeding future ahead of him if he doesn't get a wake-up call. Gas money. Hell. I would have the car keys. No games. No phone. No work. No taking responsibility. No perks. Sounds like your parents need to finally cut him off completely. What a bum. The most I've spent on a pair of boots is $250 because they were reinforced. And I got a pair of soles so that way I didn't kill my feet. And I've repaid my mom every dollar that I borrowed. And I'm still wearing them 2 years later. Love your parents. Spend time with them. And respect them. Never paid more than $20 for a pair of shoes, and even those were on sale. He doesn't value money. Doesn't value hard work, and is going to receive a harsher reality check when he realizes that money doesn't grow on trees. Parents need to call her parents and tell them to stop paying for things. He probably told them he's from a poor family or some other sob story. I have shoes that cost more than $200. But I work to pay for them. Your brother is 17. I don't know anything about your brother. But he doesn't sound like he's maturing at the same pace as you and your sister. Are your siblings going into 12th grade? How's he doing in school? That would also be indicative of his progress. At least at this point. I ask because I work with high school kids. Maybe someone should check with the girlfriend's parents and ask them what he is telling them to get the money. I wonder if he is telling them that your parents will repay them. Tell him he's right, it couldn't possibly harm him more than his own mindset already does. Tell him yes, that's right, and no one will ever love him if he expects to mooch all the time. Because the world and life is entirely transactional. Maybe he can just aspire to be a deadbeat for life. Nah, I'm kidding, of course. But he will need an income if he ever wants to buy a clue. My boss has an adult child who sounds like this kid, adult as in is in his late 30s. And has a kid of his own now. Can't keep a dollar in his pocket. Can't hold down a job. Mommy pays his car payments. Daddy insists that if you can look past the, and I quote, 50 of him that's an asshole, then you'll realize he's a good guy. I don't have time or patience for anyone who's 10 asshole. Fuck that. Sorry to say your brother is already an extremely lazy professional mooch. And his GF's parents are enablers. It's time to make a playlist with songs like No Scrubs to blast whenever he's around. Maybe that will let him buy a clue. And another homeless entitled person is born. Time to take away the car. This is basically a real-life example of that commercial with the old woman adding pictures to her living room wall saying she's unfriending the other woman. That's not how any of this works. Is your brother a bit touched in the head? I get teenagers are still learning about life and may not be the brightest, but it should be pretty easy to equate working and contribute to society equals monetary rewards. The girlfriend's parents are doing no one any favors if they're actually loaning him money for stuff like $200 shoes. He sounds like he could be president one day. Seriously though, he's not being set up for success. He needs a good swift dose of reality that no work, no money. And perhaps the parents should trade in his car for something more fuel efficient like a 20-year-old Toyota Corolla. Why does your brother still have a car? Wasn't getting a job part of the deal of him getting a car? If I were your parents, I'd snatch that car back so fast it would make his head spin. Walking is free. Sorry to say this, but your lil bro is an entitled little shit. You and your sis are being responsible adults and your bro doesn't seem interested at all. Someone needs to call his girlfriend and her parents and tell them not to give him money. You said this was a new girlfriend? He's asking her parents for money? Serious question. Is he on drugs? My parents would have taken his car away and sold it if he didn't get a job. Unless he gets his act together. The only light he is going to see at the end of that long black tunnel is a freight train coming at him 60 miles per hour? Sorry. What? 16 mpg? What? Cars in Europe are mostly around 50 mpg. I had no idea American cars were this shitty. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, your brother have no sense of the value of money. It's kinda funny. Well, funny for now. It'll be less funny for him in the future when he starts actually needing money and can't even provide for himself. Your brother seems to be a real prize for some girl looking for a young child to raise. Not to be rude, but your parents' style of parenting appears to have worked well for you and your sister. But for your brother, not so much. Where do you live? India, Spain, Mexico, Argentina. Back in the 1990s when I wore a suit every day, I paid $120 for a pair of dress shoes. I wore them every day for years. I had to have them resoled because I'm bad to drag my feet. I still have them and they look good. I never get dressed up anymore. But they still look good. That little shit disgusts me. Too old not to understand that you need to work for what you want in life. Can't stand leeches. It's one thing to be like that with your family. But the fucking nerve to ask your GF parents? Absolutely despicable. That is unreal. They need to stop paying for gas. Let him sort it out. What an entitled little brat. Yuck. Sounds exactly like someone in my family. Won't get a job, but would borrow money and buy video games and go out to eat instead of eat the food already at home. That person used to have a car that also took only premium gas. Not sure if the car is still around. Haven't been back home in years. Doesn't do chores. Lazy. Sorry you have to deal with such an entitled, manipulative, lazy, toxic family member. It's always the crocodile tears and the "don't you love me? You don't love me" face vomiting. Why did they let it get that far? And badass car for a kid that only takes premium? Stop discussing money with your brother. Let your parents handle it. They are doing a good job. The good thing is your brother is your parents' problem to deal with. Sounds like my family. Asking GF's parents for money? Well damn, I thought that shit only happened in Steel Panther songs. Sounds like your brother is a fucking loser. LMAO. Sorry for being so blunt. But wow. Your brother is off to a good start towards being a bum. Your brother asked his GF's parents for money? How embarrassing. Are they stupid or something? I'm shocked he would be so entitled as to ask his new girlfriend's parents for money. Your parents are raising a mooch. And the faster they cut him off, the better. I know a couple of kids who are in their mid-30s. I've known them since they were teens. Still living with their parents. Chronically underemployed. Basically just waiting for their parents to die so they can have their houses and whatever retirement is left to inherit. Who wants to raise offspring like that? Your parents' next step is to take the car away from him. He will just continue to borrow money from people in order to drive to his GF's unless the car is taken away. He won't be able to go anywhere then. They need to force his hand. Give him until a certain time to get a job or he's out. Also, your parents need to contact the GF's parents and tell them not to give him any money. Rules 4. If you want an honest advice, post this on Relationship Advice. So your parents raised an entitled man-child. Spoiled the son just because he was a boy. Daughters were expected to pull their weight. Sounds like they created a monster. Let them sort it out. Sounds like your parents have been enabling his behavior for a long time. They created a monster of a boy who will grow up to be a man-child who doesn't think he has to do chores in the household. He is literally being taught by your parents that it's a woman's job. It does look like they are finally seeing that this isn't sustainable. Hopefully, it's not too late to undo the monster they created. A lot of people grow up feeling entitled and then get BT hurt when it doesn't happen in the real world. Glad he is learning the hard lessons at this age. Because some don't learn it until much later. Oof. The mere thought of asking my GF's parents for $200 for shoes makes me cringe right out of my skin. The fuck is wrong with the guy? You. My parents gave my brother everything while I worked for everything I have. My parents gave my brother everything while I worked for everything I have. My parents gave my brother everything while I worked for everything I have. The chutzpah of asking his GF's parents for $200 for shoes, yikes. Maybe your parents should reach out to your brother girlfriend's parents to let them know they trying to get him look for a job, and it would be in his interest that they refuse to give money, as he should become self-reliant. Do they really want a bum dating their daughter? Someone that doesn't make a lot of money isn't a bum, but someone who just demands or begs for money without trying to change their financial situation is. Imagine if he gets his girlfriend knock up, then they got their daughter and future grandkid living in the house with an unemployed baby daddy. That isn't a future neither your parents or her parents want to experience. Sounds like it's time to take the car away too. If he's 17 not understanding some of these things, he's already a step behind. This world has become increasingly expensive at a record rate in the last 5 years. He needs a reality check before real life hits and he's drowning. Good for your parents teaching about responsibility. Unfortunately, your bro is lazy and will not learn the lesson. Leave him be. Do not give him money. Buy him shoes or enable him in any way. The real loser is going to be this baby boy and the girlfriend when she ends up with a little package and a male who won't work to support them. Just ignore baby boy brother and work to become independent. Let baby boy tantrum. I don't have siblings, so I really don't know. But I have sat back and observed all sorts of situations involving kids. This has factored into my decision to be child-free. Good luck. Just don't get drawn into funding baby boy. I hope you are making it clear to your parents that he is not going to be your responsibility when he bleeds them dry. Please show this post and comments to your entitled brother. He needs to learn, really soon given he's 17, that he has to work for his money. Asking his GF parents for money? That's far beyond entitlement. He's shameless and always the victim. He also manipulated his sister and his GF sister's BFF to end their friendship. Does he even like y'all? Ick. But he is the little prince? Bother needs to get a job with a reality check skull. Better sign him up for the military. He needs to learn some discipline and work ethic, or he's a one-way trio to loser town. Your little brother needs a reality check. Scum. To be fair, I own a couple pairs of Birkenstocks. And they are totally worth it. Arch support. Light. And I can walk for a long time in them without my feet hurting. But $200 for a pair of shoes for someone who doesn't work? No. Your brother sounds like a loser. Sorry to say this, but your little brother is the exact definition of this subreddit. They expect all the pay and none of the work. As if the world exists for them alone and owes them a living. That, or he knows he isn't entitled to anything but is trying to get it anyways by trying to get Sympathy for not having as much money as his sister and you. Conveniently bypassing the fact that both of you worked for that money. Your brother is an entitled little leech who will never learn if everyone keeps pandering to him. The emotional blackmail of "no one loves me" needs to be stamped out hard. 17. I guess he has some learning to do, and you guys seems to be doing okay at teaching him and not just giving in to shut him up. 'Cause growing up is hard to do. I know this story, I know how it ends. Your brother will continue to abuse everyone in his life for money until they refuse to enable to give him any more. He will also expect all debt he owes to be forgiven or paid off by his parents or siblings. He is at the first chapter of the book my narcissist Scylla spouse has written. How to guilt, manipulate and use family members for long-term financial gain with minimal effort. I detect a lot of unexamined assumptions re boys versus girls throughout this thread. Like OP says, people think boys raise themselves and then are surprised that young men lack coping skills. Is you brother mentally impaired? His logic is that of small child. My most expensive pair of shoes were $140 and I saved for like 4 months to buy them. Kids these days SMH. I also have a brother who is 17. He's the baby, so our parents spoiled him and has always given him what he wants. They've asked him to get a job since they let him drop out of high school, and he just doesn't want to. He always has one of their debit cards. They complain, yet they have enabled him and still enable him no matter what. Me and my other brother have tried talking to them about it, but little brother gets so upset when anyone tries to bring anything up, so they let him be to avoid any drama. It's a shit show, but I'm glad I don't live at home anymore. Why would his girlfriend's parents give him money? That's strange, and it makes me wonder if he is talking bad or making crap up about Yi to make him look like he is the forgotten child. The second-hand embarrassment I just got from him asking his high school GFS parents for money for shoes is insane. I would sooner go barefoot. He's learned to be a manipulator. It's worked for him. He has an extreme sense of entitlement, which is in reality a delusion. I would not worry about him. Your brother needs my parents. I was waking up at 5:30 to go milk cows on the farm, back in to shower and change to go to school, and then back milking afterwards. I was 10 and didn't get paid. Good on your parents for saying no to his demands. He needs to learn to live in the real world.